Hi, good afternoon.
Welcome, everybody. I'm just going to wait a couple minutes, let everyone settle in to this Friday. I'll just give it maybe 2 more minutes, just because I know everyone might be between meetings or running around and all of that. So it's great that you can make it here. I've got a totally new background this week, new space, hopefully stable internet connection, hopefully all's good. I have renovations at my house happening, so I'm out of friends. So it's just part of this whole life thing. Give it another minute or so. Maybe we'll get started and we'll just let people just come in as they're ready. So thank you everyone for joining me again this Friday. And just for a moment, just taking a second here and really congratulating yourself and just having a little bit of self-compassion here for taking this time for yourself and doing something to nurture you and to help you feel good. So we're going to get started, and I've got a slide deck here that I'm going to share with you. And again, you can kind of either type in questions, but we'll probably save some of the questions for the end as well. So just, yeah, thank you again. So the second part of this mindfulness series is really looking at mindfulness and stress. And this is really where mindfulness can be a huge factor and really help us in our lives and be a great benefit, is when we have these stressful encounters that we know are happening and happen every day, and really using mindfulness as a tool. And I really like this image, and I'll just, someone helped me put it together. So I don't know if she did it intentionally, but this image of kind of on the left here is that kind of blurry screen and background. And I think that's kind of sometimes how we can see the world if we're stressed and, you know, kind of having difficulties. And the right side here is what mindfulness can bring. And it can bring a sense of clarity, a sense of peace, and a sense of focus to our world. And so, as many of you know, I'm a mindfulness coach and a registered physiotherapist. And I started practicing mindfulness really because of traumatic events that happened in my life, and really wanting to move through things a little bit easier, because we know those stressful events aren't going to stop. And kind of the older I got and I'm getting, the more I realized that this is just a part of life, right? And so this wasn't the end of life's events. And so through many kind of experiences that I've had, my sons have multiple kind of spinal surgeries, through cancer, mindfulness has really had a profound influence on how I cope with stress. And I'm hoping today you can take away some of the tools as well. And so we'll talk a little bit about kind of the nervous system and stress, the effect of chronic stress in our lives, and how these mindfulness practices can really help to manage stress. So we're going to start here by doing a little bit of breathing and really settling in to our bodies and to this moment. So just inviting you to get into a comfortable position, inviting you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable, and just listening to my guidance here. So beginning here by arriving in your chair and trying to let go of where you've been this morning and all the things you need to do later on today. And just arriving in this moment, feeling your feet in contact with the floor, the thighs resting on the chair, your back comfortable but alert, and the arms and shoulders relaxed at your side, and your neck and head. And as your body feeling the abdomen as it expands on the in-breath and falls back towards your spine on the out-breath. Just staying with your breath at the belly. And now moving your attention to the chest, becoming aware of the rising and falling of the chest with each inhalation and with each exhalation. Staying with the breath at the chest. And now moving your awareness to know where as it enters your body and as it leaves your body, staying with the breath in this region. And now bringing your attention to whatever place you notice the breath the most, whether it be your belly, your chest, or your nose or mouth. Using this place, using each breath as an anchor to focus your attention to the present. Staying with each in-breath and each out-breath, one after the other, after the other. And you will find from time to time your mind wandering off into thoughts or sounds. This is perfectly natural. When you find your attention no longer here and no longer with your breathing, perhaps for a moment just recognizing where your mind has gone. Is it planning, worrying, or just drifting from topic to topic. And then kindly bringing the attention back to the breath, back to that place, wherever you notice the breath the most, back to the moment-to-moment awareness of your breathing. Now, as you maintain awareness of your breathing, see if it's possible to expand this awareness so that it includes the sense of your body as a whole as you sit here. Feeling your body from head to toe and becoming aware of all the sensations within your body so that now you're not only observing your breath, but also the sense of you sitting here. Just being here with the breath and the body. And again, if you notice your mind wandering, maybe just for a moment congratulating yourself. For this is the practice of mindfulness. Noticing that your mind has wandered and then bringing it back. Bringing it back as many times as you need to. Coming back to a sense of fullness of each in-breath and the fullness of each out-breath. Just being with your breathing from moment to moment, sitting in stillness, looking for nothing, and being present to all, just as it is, as it unfolds. And as the practice comes to an end, give yourself credit for having taken this time to nourish yourself in a deep way. And just slowly opening your eyes. And so now that we've really kind of arrived here, so I love this quote by John Kabat-Zinn. It says, how you see things and how you handle them makes all the difference in terms of how much stress you perceive. And this is really important, right? Because all this stuff, it's not going away, right? We know the only real constant is change. So what we can bring is this mindful attention and awareness to the situation, and that can really change our experience of the situation. And so we're going to start at the beginning and talk a little bit about the nervous system, and in particular, the autonomic nervous system. So this is that system that turns on when we perceive a sense of threat to ourselves, right? And I didn't put this picture here to kind of bring it back to grade 12 biology class, but really just to show that it's so kind of, it's really broad, right? And really controls a wide variety of things here, right? And what this system does, this autonomic nervous system, is that it's really about maintaining balance within our bodies. So you may have heard the term homeostasis or allostasis, and just being able to kind of maintain an equilibrium in our bodies when we're dealing with stress. And so what is that stress response system? So this is that fight or flight or freeze. And this is what happens when we perceive that threat. So the heart rate rises, the blood pressure rises, our breathing rate goes up, and all the blood is diverted from kind of the digestive system, all other kind of systems, and it goes into our muscles and into these kind of organs here so that we're ready to kind of respond. And so what's really important to note is that this response not only occurs when we encounter a threat, but it also turns on when we perceive a threat. So just thinking about whatever that stressful situation is, an interview, a meeting with a boss, whatever it is, even when we perceive or think about that stressful situation, this whole system turns on. And this is a really useful thing, right? Because back in the day, and animals do this really well, right? So that they sense danger, they're able to react and kind of they either die or get wounded or otherwise kind of go back to being rest. And so their system really works well. It turns on, it turns off, right? And we also have we've had this system for a long, long time. And this worked out really well tens of thousands of years ago when we encountered kind of a saber-toothed tiger, and we either had to fight or kind of flee the situation, right? But of course, it's different today, right? So now the stresses are quite different. Whether it's your career, partner, kids, the pandemic, nutrition, exercise, all these things affect us and our stressors. And so we know now that this stress is, especially kind of present day, we can have this kind of low level of stress in our bodies. And it's almost like as if we're kind of idling the engine of a car, right? And we know that's not kind of good for our car, but we can think of ourselves as similar, where with some of us, we can have this kind of low level of stress occurring, and our bodies don't go back to that kind of relaxed system. And so what can happen is chronic stress. And that's when we're unable to kind of shut off that stress response. And the stress affects many, many different areas of the body. So in the brain, you can have difficulty concentrating, anxiety, depression, irritability in the cardiovascular system, a whole host of things affects your joints and muscles, the immune system. There's a lot of research and evidence around this. And as well, a host of other things, the digestive system as well. And so what can we do about this? We know we can't control the stress, a lot of the stress that comes into our lives, right? But I want to go through some strategies here that can help kind of how you deal with stress and how you navigate. And so this 3-minute breathing space is a little break in your day to bring yourself to the present moment. And I'm finding even, in my day-to-day life, that these small moments where we can take a break and kind of de-stress are really important, especially these days when there's so much distraction in our lives. And I was even noticing it in myself, what do you do when you have kind of, 5 minutes of free time, right? You immediately kind of, for most of us, we grab our phones, right? Let me catch up on my emails. Let me see what's new on, whatever social media or whatever it is, right? But with this, I'm inviting you to do is kind of have those couple of minutes to be still and bring yourself back to the present moment, right? And these little things can add up throughout the day. And so we're going to go into kind of that 3-minute breathing practice here. So again, inviting you to settle in and get comfortable here. So in this first minute, we're going to bring awareness to what's happening in our bodies. So bringing yourself in the present moment, trying to adopt an erect posture. And for a moment here, asking yourself, what is my experience right now? What kind of thoughts are going through my mind? What feelings are happening? And what kind of bodily sensations are going on? And just acknowledging and registering whatever your experience is right now, even if it is unwanted. And in the second minute, we're gathering. So gently redirecting your full attention to your breath, noticing each in-breath and each out-breath, finding that place in your body wherever you notice the breath the most. Staying with each breath, one after the other, after the other. Using your breath as an anchor to bring you into the present moment and help you tune in to a state of awareness and stillness. And then in that third minute, we're going to expand. Expand the field of your awareness around your breath so that now it includes a sense of your body sitting here as a whole, sensing your posture, sensing your facial expression, sensing your whole being. And so, just coming out of there, that's just one practice to really get yourself to step out of automatic pilot and reconnect instead of kind of our usual mode of doing, gotta get this done, and to simply just be and to just rest in that stillness. And so we're going to go straight into another practice. And this practice is called noticing. And I'm going to guide you a little bit through that. But sometimes, especially when we're under periods of stress, sometimes just tuning into the breath is not enough or not easy. So then it can be helpful sometimes just to notice what's actually going on in our heads. So we're going to just do that again for a couple minutes. I'm going to guide you through this practice called noticing. So just beginning here by taking 3 deep breaths. Really settling into your body, feeling that place wherever your body makes contact with the chair, with the floor, with the cushion. And for a moment, for a couple of minutes here, we're going to let our minds intentionally wander. And what we're going to do is see if we can notice the categories that come up for us. Sometimes it helps to put them into kind of a couple of different categories, maybe sounds, sensations, feelings, or emotions. So seeing as thoughts come up, if we can label those thoughts into a specific category. And as we label them, to really let them go. And maybe that letting go comes as a visual image. Maybe it feels like clouds moving in the sky, or a balloon floating away. Or even just labeling and putting those categories into boxes. Whatever works for you. Noticing what comes up as best as you can, labeling it, and then letting it go away. Just doing this on your own for a minute or so. And so that practice can be helpful, especially when we find ourselves really ruminating over anything, really a stressful event, or even, just having that thought that will kind of keep going down that kind of rabbit hole, right? And so kind of coming back and just labeling that as whatever it is, sensations, even, going even more specific, like, oh, that's worry, or that's frustration, or that's sadness, can really be helpful in giving us that space that mindfulness can bring. And so what we really want to do is interrupt that stress cycle. And so we've got this kind of wheel here where we've got the stressor, our past experiences and thoughts, the feelings, the physical tension, and then the negative behavior. It can really turn into kind of this circular, unending wheel. And so I always use the kind of example as, that stressor of maybe someone cuts you off in traffic, right? And so this is kind of we're slowly going through this, but you've got that past experience of like, oh, you know, I hate this city, the traffic is so bad, you know, the drivers are horrible. Um, you know, why am I doing this? And all that kind of comes flooding in, right? And then you've got these feelings. Maybe it's frustration, maybe it's anger, whatever it is. And then those feelings often turn into, right, that physical tension. Your chest tightens, your shoulders round and you can get tight. The neck can get stiff and muscles tense up. And then it can turn into negative behavior, right? And so this can lead to, you know, maybe if you can start speeding up, if you're, you know, and then, you know, you get into a hurry, maybe you go home and you become short with your family or your partner. And this kind of leads into that whole cycle of stress response. And so what we want to do with mindfulness is we know we can't change those stressors. Those things are going to happen, right? We can't change those past experiences or our thoughts, right? Thoughts keep coming no matter what happens. And even our feelings, you know, we can feel that tension, we can feel that anger, whatever it is. But this is that point where we can interject and bring mindfulness so that we can notice those feelings, even noticing the physical tension. Oh, that's anger, right? Or that's tightness in my chest. And we can step back and we can allow that minute, those 3 minutes, whatever it is, to come back to our breathing and be in the present moment and not let this cycle kind of carry any further. And as we always say, mindfulness is a simple practice, but not easy, right? So taking a lot of practice, just like anything. And so we're going to go into a mountain meditation here. And this one's a little bit longer. And so just again, getting yourself settled here, getting comfortable. So beginning here by finding a position of stability and poise. Your upper body balanced over your hips, your shoulders comfortable, but in an alert posture. If it's comfortable, your hands on your lap or your knees. Your arms hanging by their own weight, stable and relaxed. And really sensing into your body here. Feeling your feet, your legs and hips, your trunk, your arms and shoulders, and your neck and head. And when you're ready, inviting you to bring your awareness to the breath, the actual physical sensations of breathing. Feeling each breath as it comes in and goes out of the body. Letting the breath be just as it is, without trying to change or regulate it in any way, allowing it to flow easily and naturally, its own rhythm and pace. Knowing you're breathing perfectly well right here, right now. And as you allow the body to be still and sitting with a sense of dignity, a sense of resolve, a sense of being complete and whole in this very moment. And as you sit here, inviting you to let an image form in your mind's eye of the most magnificent or beautiful mountain you know or have seen or can imagine, letting it gradually come into greater focus. Even if it doesn't come as a visual image, allowing the sense of this mountain, feeling its overall shape, its lofty peak or peaks high in the sky, the large base rooted in the earth, its steep or gently sloping sides, noticing how massive it is, how solid, how unmoving, how beautiful, whether from afar or up close. Perhaps your mountain has snow blanketing its top, or trees reaching down to the base, or rugged granite sides. There may be streams or waterfalls, meadows or high lakes. Just observing it and noting its qualities. And now inviting you, when you feel ready, to see if you can bring the mountain into your own body sitting here, so that your body and the mountain in your mind's eye become one. So that as you sit here, you share in the massiveness and the stillness and the majesty of the mountain, grounded in the sitting posture. Your head becomes the lofty peak, supported by the rest of the body. Your shoulders and arms the sides of the mountain. Your buttocks and legs, the solid base, rooted to your cushion or chair. And with each breath, as you continue sitting, becoming a little more of a breathing mountain, alive and vital, yet unwavering in your inner stillness, a centered, grounded, unmoving presence. And as you sit here, becoming aware of the fact that as the sun travels across the sky, the light and shadows and colors are changing, virtually moment by moment in the mountain stillness. The surface teems with life and activity. And as the mountain sits, seeing and feeling how night follows day and day follows night, the bright warming sun followed by the cool night sky, and the gradual dawning of a new day. And through it all, the mountain just sits, experiencing change in each moment, constantly changing, yet always just being itself. It remains still as the seasons flow and as the weather changes moment by moment and day by day. In the summer, there's no snow on the mountain, except perhaps for the very peaks. In the fall, the mountain may wear a coat of brilliant colors. In the winter, a blanket of snow and ice. In any season, you find out that time coated in cloud or fog, people may come to see the mountain and comment on how beautiful it is or how it's not a good day to see the mountain. None of this matters to the mountain. Clouds may come and clouds may go. Tourists may like it or not. The mountain's magnificence and beauty are not changed one bit by whether people see it or not, whether in the sun or clouds, whether day or night. It just sits being itself. In the spring, the trees sleep out, flowers bloom, streams overflow with the waters of melting snow. Through it all, the mountain continues to sit, unmoved by the weather, by what happens on its surface, by the world of appearances, remaining its essential self through the seasons, through the changing weather. In the same way as we sit, we can learn to experience the mountain. We can embody the same central, unwavering stillness and groundedness in the face of everything that changes in our lives, over seconds, over hours, over years. In our lives and in our practice, we experience constantly the changing nature of mind and body and of the outer world. We have our own periods of light and darkness, activity and inactivity, our moments of color and our moments of drab. We experience storms of varying intensity and violence in the outer world and in our own minds and bodies, buffeted by high winds, by cold and rain, We endure periods of darkness and pain, as well as the moments of joy and uplift. Even our appearance changes constantly, experiencing a weather of its own. By becoming the mountain in our practice, we can link up with its strength and stability and adopt them for our own. We can use its energy to support our energy, to encounter each moment with mindfulness and clarity. It may help us to see that our thoughts and feelings, our preoccupations, our emotional storms and crises, even the things that happen to us, are very much like the weather on the mountain, constantly changing. The weather of our own lives is not to be ignored or denied. It is to be encountered, honored, and held in awareness. And in holding it in this way, we can come to know a deeper silence and stillness and wisdom. So if you find you resonate in some way with the strength and stability of the mountain, it may be helpful to use it from time to time to remind you of what it means to sit with resolve, with a sense of centeredness and groundedness and stillness. So continuing here for a few moments to be a breathing mountain. So as you slowly make your way back, the kind of invitation with this practice is to really think of those things that happen to us as kind of that weather on the mountain, and to really invite us to be that kind of centered presence in spite of everything that changes in our lives. There's a quote by Pema Chodron that says, "You are the sky. Everything else is just the weather." And so just a little bit of an overview of what we went over today, that stress is really a normal part of everyday life. We can't control it. And just to know as well that there's good stress too, right? And we have to have, if you remember back in, again, going back to university here, kind of that U curve, upside down U, where you actually need a little bit of stress to perform well in everyday activities. And so if our stress response goes on unchecked, it could lead to those chronic stress health problems. And so mindfulness can really help us be aware of how we react to stressful situations. It can help us respond with greater ease and resilience to life stresses. And I really like this quote by John Kabat-Zinn, who says, "You can't." Oh, I missed it either. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. And so I just want to do for a couple minutes here, just another way to kind of help manage stress is to actually go through our bodies. And I really like using the hands here. The hands, a lot of representation on the brain, a lot of nerve endings. And so what you can do, again, sometimes a lot of these tools might not work in certain situations. So coming back to our hands here. And so what we can do, inviting you to kind of just slowly here, kind of rubbing your hands together. And as you rub them, really feeling kind of the sensations of your palms, of your fingers, really tuning into how your skin feels. Maybe there's some heat or coolness there. See what's being generated. And then inviting you to kind of go a little bit more quickly here, rubbing the hands together. Good. And then going as fast as you can. Fast, fast, fast. Now seeing how that feeling changes. Maybe there's a little bit more heat there. And then slowly slowing down. Really taking your time. You're coming back here. And then still having the hands together and really almost lightly, almost barely touching them together. Again, seeing where they make contact. Is it the fingertips? Is it the palms? And trying to really gradually press your hands and your fingers together and really focusing on that kind of gradual piece where you're slowly building up the pressure and then pressing as hard as you can, and then letting go. Again, gradually letting go. And then again, building up that pressure, pressing the palms of the hands together, and then slowly letting go. And then inviting you to open your hands here. And then what we're going to do is just squeeze the hands, making a tight fist. Tight, 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 really holding and feeling that tension in your hand. And then letting go. And again, one more time here, squeezing the hands, really feeling that tension in the fist, in the palm of the hand, in the fingers, feeling that tension in the hand, holding that tension, and then gradually letting it go and relaxing. And those are some grounding techniques that you can do with your body. And so I just wanted to end here by thanking you, and we will have this presentation available on video to share with those that couldn't make it. And of course, if anyone has any questions, just feel free to email me directly. I just want to also, again, coming back to thanking you for taking this time for yourself and for nurturing yourself in this space. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. Thank you.